Good morning, ladies. Welcome to Free Your Body, Free Your Voice. It's lovely to see you today. Last week we did a lesson looking at the colours of the voice, the red, the orange and the yellow colours. So the way I look at the voice is that the body is the instrument of the voice. And the freer that our body can be, the bigger the chamber of resonance for the voice, and the freer our voice can be. And when, just like if we can align our body well, we have more power. So when we align our body well, we have more power in our voice as well. So last week, I'll just go do a little recap of that. And I'll just put you on mute so that I can make sure. Okay. So last week we looked at how, I'll just tell you a little bit of background about how I came to this awareness. My training is, I've been a Feldenkrais practitioner and I'm an assistant trainer. I've been a practitioner for over 30 years. And when I first started doing the Feldenkrais movements and gentle movements lying on the floor, I got up from the floor and I noticed my voice was richer and stronger. And it was much easier to speak out. At the time, I was a high school teacher, and so my voice often got strained from teaching. And I found that this helped me a lot to be able to just teach for the day and express myself easily. And I also love singing, so I was delighted that I could sing better from doing these movements. So I always that has been an exploration, and I used to teach at folk festivals at Woodford. I don't know if you've heard of the Woodford Folk Festival in Queensland, but for 5 years I taught there. I'd teach these classes called Free Your Body, Free Your Voice, and I'd have about 100 people come along and do these little movements with me to free up their voice, and so it was all great fun. And since then I've written a book called Sovereign Woman, which is this book here, and I've made a CD. Each chapter has a song talking about whatever that color of the voice is. Like the first one is called Standing on Your Own 2 Feet for the grounding one. The next one is the embodied voice, being in your body, being in your pelvis for the voice, and so on through. There's all these little different songs. And then about 8 years ago, I lived in a place called Mullaney. It was a little country town with a man called Kim Kirkman, who was one of the 10 tenors. And I learned to sing from him, and he taught me to sing opera. So I always had a sweet voice, but never really used my voice or found the power of my voice. And so I learned to sing from him, and I sang the lead and little opera in the end. So I realized how I could harness my Feldenkrais, or use my Feldenkrais awareness to help improve my voice. And on my website, which is this up here, www.womanshine.com.au, there are lots of little videos to show you me singing if you want to have a look at them. And and now what I do with Kim, we teach workshops called Joyful Creation workshops. This one, we're doing one in October here in Brisbane called Over the Rainbow. And it will be to help people find the power and passion in their voice, whether they want to sing or speak or whatever it is. I think we all need to have that expression of ourselves. I think one of the things I've noticed with all my clients over the years that I've been working in Feldenkrais is that people, when they have a pain in their body, often it's something that's not been expressed. You know, who's the pain in your neck, or who's got your stomach in your life, or whatever. So I would work with people with their bodies, and sometimes I'd get them to make sounds just to release the feelings. And I think there's this wiring between, we learn to hold down, we learn to suppress ourselves, hold down our feelings and our expression of ourselves, and that inhibits the power in our voice. So that's how I wrote this book. I just wanted to share with people. I call it Sovereign Woman, not just for women, but claiming our sovereignty, claiming our true voice. And I think that it's a power of going into the body rather than trying to do it all in our head. Feeling that we need to feel what's going on in our body. The patterns that we have of repression are things we've done physically to hold ourselves down, and we can learn how to become aware of those holding patterns, of the sensations in our body that stop our expression of ourselves, and then we can free ourselves and express the truth of who we really are and let our true colors shine through. Okay, so let's get started. I'll just recap some of the things that we did last week so that we can build on that. So we're building a container of support, this foundation of support for our voice. So the voice starts in the feet. So as you're standing there, let's just find yourself a place to stand and feel. How are you standing on your feet? Where is the weight on your feet at the moment? Do you feel that you're more on your heels? Are you more on the soles of your feet? Are you more on the sides of your feet? And before we even do anything, just let's make a little sound, just any sound that you like a ah, just noticing at the moment how that sounds, but more than how it sounds, how it feels in your body. And just noticing that. And so does the sound just come from your throat? Does the sound come from your chest? Does it come from your belly? And maybe you could just show me with those, you won't see this on the recording, but I can see it now. Yeah, so with one of you, it comes from your throat and a little bit in your belly, a little bit in your belly. So so we have these, when we use our voice actually is in our whole, the more places that are open, the more the sound can resonate through our whole body. So the voice starts in the feet. If you feel that weight in your feet, but feel your feet, and just do a little movement of bending your knees, just very, very slightly. And then pressing your feet into the floor. Can you feel when you do that, how the arch in your foot lifts a little bit? And then as you breathe in, you kind of let go and let your knees bend again. And then press your feet into the floor. Now, if you place your hands on your lower belly in the shape of a heart, just below your navel. So here's my navel here, and I'm down here. This is my pubic bone, and my hands are here. And just breathe in through your nose. Take a breath through your nose, right down into your lower belly. And as you do that, just let your knees sink down, just bending your knees just a little bit. And then as you breathe out, press your feet into the floor and blow out a candle as if you're blowing out a candle. So you're breathing into your lower belly, in through your nose. And as you breathe out, blowing out a candle, pressing your feet into the floor. And you may feel as you do that, like we looked at this last week, how the pelvic floor can engage as you've got the arch in your foot supporting your pelvic floor, and there's something tightens in your pelvic floor. Taking a breath in again, and this time can you make a sound with that? So you're going, ooh. And breathing in again. Bending your knees, breathing out. Ooh. Breathing in again. And breathing out. Ooh. So this is the first movement to switch on the red colors of your voice. Feeling that connection through your feet. So the feet are kind of doing this movement. They're flattening down as you breathe in and your foot goes down. And then as you push through your foot, imagine you've got a tripod, you've got your heel and one side of the sole of your foot and the other side, you're pressing down, and then the arch in the foot lifts. So you're breathing in, letting go, so that the in breath is the release, the opening up, and the out breath is the contraction where the work is done. And then you let go. And what happens in our lower belly, we often don't let go. We hold on to our anxieties and fears and things, and this doesn't let go. There's a lot of holding that happens in here. So this little movement, it's a lovely movement just to calm your nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic, which is your relaxed response in your body. So breathing in down into your lower belly creates that space in your belly, allows you room to move and room to breathe and room to speak or sing. So that's the first thing we did last week. And then we looked at the second area, which is the orange color of your voice, which is your feelings, your power and passion. And we did lots of little movements of just imagining that your pelvis, if you put your hands on the top of your pelvis here, that's called your iliac crest. Take your hands down, you can feel this big bone here, and the pubic bone is at the bottom. So your pelvis is like a big bowl, and this has all your your organs of like your large intestine, small intestine, your reproductive organs, and they're kind of watery organs. So if you can imagine that you've got a bowl of water here and you're placing your hands on the top of the bowl of water and just gently rocking your pelvis forward and back, and imagining as you rock the pelvis forward that the water tips out between your legs, and as you rock your pelvis back that the water tips behind you. So if I turn sideways, you can just see that I'm rocking forward and I'm rocking back. And as you rock forward, you maybe can let the breath come in down in your lower belly, and as you rock back, it draws back in. Then I talk with you about the fire in the belly, a ball in the center of your belly that Moshe Feldenkrais was a martial artist, and he used to talk about the tanden. He said that this is where our power center is, right in the middle of the belly. So it's about 5 centimeters in and about 5 centimeters down from your belly button. So as you do these little rocking of your pelvis forward and back, could you imagine that this ball is rocking forward and the ball is rocking back? And that you could actually move from this point. You could think of, instead of just thinking of the water, you could think of that this ball is rocking forward and this ball is rocking back. Moshe Feldenkrais used to call this area the foundation of faith. And it's a point where our voice comes from. This is our intention. I have the intention to say no, or I have the intention to go, ee, or I have the intention to say, come here, or whatever. It comes from this area here. And when this is all tight and held, there's nothing much can happen here. So one of the things that stops this area being able to move forward and back is if we are tight in our hips. And we did these lovely little movements last week of feeling how we could just swing our legs. If you want to just hold on to something if you need to at the side, and feeling that as you swing your leg back, this tanden comes forward, and as you swing your leg forward, the tanden comes back. So we've got this little swinging action that moves your pelvis. You see sometimes people walking along like this, their pelvis doesn't move, especially when they get old and their hips are going like this, working really hard in the legs because they're not moving from the pelvis. That creates a whole different movement. And when all this area opens up, it creates more space in here that allows the voice, the orange color of the voice, to come out. This is our power and passion in our voice. So you hear sometimes people talking like this and they're right up in here, not expressing their feelings. So when they can come from down in here, their passion, their power is expressed in this area. Okay, so, and we did other little movements of rocking the pelvis side to side, and we made little circles, and we made little figure of eights with the voice like this, with the body. So we did all these sorts of things to free up this area. And then as you just do some of these little movements, just make some little sounds that you're speaking in here. Ah, 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 letting out those feelings. Ah, breathing in, and as you breathe out, just letting out the feeling. Ah, letting your tongue poke out, maybe. Ah, ah. Okay, good. Now just come back to standing, and let's make that little sound that you made in the first place and see whether what we've done has made any difference. So just ready, 1, 2, 3. Just listen to that sound and just notice whether anything's changed. And you might even like to, if you've got a chat box there, you might put that so I can see whether, I'll just open it up so that I can see if you write anything. Yeah. Okay, so let's now come up to the third center of the voice, which is your solar plexus. And we talked about this the other day, and I'm going to send you a little video that my singing teacher and I made about this area. But basically, it's just, if you feel, put your hands on the side of your ribs here, the bottom of the ribs, you can feel there's a little where your breastbone comes down here, and you've got a sternal notch here, and you've got a little V. The ribs come around in a little V shape, so that here in this area of the body is a diaphragm, which is when we breathe in, this diaphragm goes down like a bowl. And when we breathe out, it comes up like a hat. But for many of us, this diaphragm, we don't breathe very deeply, especially when we're stressed. And this diaphragm doesn't move very much. Yeah, Della said it moves through my body more particularly to the lower in the pelvis. That's great, Dallas. Okay, so feeling, just placing your hands on the side of the ribs and just feeling your own ribs here. And just take a breath in and notice what happens. If you just press gently against your ribs and you press and breathe in, can you feel if anything moves here? For some of us, it doesn't. And I'll tell you a story. When Kim Kirkman, my singing teacher, first taught me this, I was held in like this. I couldn't move my ribs at all. And at that time, I was breaking up a relationship. So I think I had all my feelings stuck in, held inside. And he showed me how to do this little movement to free up the ribs. And it's just basically just gently pressing into the ribs. And as you breathe in, just use a little bit of pressure against your hands. So you don't want to press so hard that you break your ribs, but just gently having a little bit of pressure and then taking the breath in and feeling how those ribs can move at the side. And so if I turn around and show you the back doing that, so I'm breathing in and these ribs are expanding. And I breathe out and they come in. So breathing in and they expand, and breathing out and they come in. Now, if we want to use our voice with any power, this is our power center. This is our ability to say no, stand up for ourselves, just to set our boundaries for ourselves, to say stop. And so if I wanted to speak and say stop, I don't want to be pulled in that way. I don't want to be made smaller or repressed. So I would, if somebody's breathing, if I'm breathing in and someone's pushing against me, I can go zzz or ka. We might do the ka. I think that's an easier sound. So your hands are here and you're just going ka. So you're taking a breath into your hands and creating the space there. Ka. And if I went from the back here like this, so I'm breathing in, ka. Ka, or I could make a ha, ha, or a yi, yi, or a even a more gentle sound, like when you say to a baby, shh, shh, shh. So if you made this sound that we made before, feeling this sense of activating this area of your body. And just feel how that sounds compared to if you hold all this in and hold it really tightly and don't let it move, whatever you do, and then you try and say I can't hardly speak or make any sound from that because we hold ourselves in and don't let the sound out and don't even know we're doing it. It's just like we've just got such a habit. We've learned as a child probably to, you can't say that, stop, you can't do that. And so, and we want to be loved or we don't want to be punished, so we hold ourselves in. Okay, so that's the yellow color of the voice. And these all go together so that when I take a breath into my belly, my knees bend a little bit, and then I breathe out, the feet press down, the pelvis moves back, and this area expands so that I can go ha, 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 and I've got these qualities in the voice. So some people have those qualities in the voice and they can be very hard and confronting, and what's needed in the voice also is the compassion of the heart, the tenderness of the heart, and the power of the heart. So let's come up into this area. So what happens around this area in our chest, this is our heart, this is the green color of the voice, is that we can close down our heart because we're afraid of being hurt. and we don't express what we're really feeling because we don't want to hurt somebody else. So this area becomes constricted. And so instead of the feet connecting, like we're breathing in, the knees bend, and we're pressing through our feet to open our heart so that we can say, we're doing this. And so we go to say, but the voice is constricted. So if you actually, like hug yourself and just like hold yourself really in here and just make that sound, and hear what that sounds like, feel what it's like when there's no opening that happens in the chest here. So let's just, I'm just going to do this time some little Feldenkrais movements just to help you open your heart. And I can remember in a workshop once I taught this, and this lady came back the next week and she just went, ta-ta! And like she was always like very afraid to speak up and say anything. I wish I'd taken a photo of it, it would have been, or a video of it. It was amazing. But so our arms are attached to our chest. If we come like this and just come into a little like folding area like this. And can you remember in school being told to sit up straight? So we're like this and the teacher comes along and says, sit up straight. So we go like that for 2 seconds and then we can't hold it. So we go back into this. And that's because the flexor muscles, these muscles in the front here that fold the body, hold on really tightly. And if we try and force them out, we can kind of like stretch them for a second, but they're not really letting go. They're just doing, we're trying to comply, and then they'll just drop back down again. So in the Feldenkrais, what we do is sometimes just follow the pattern. So we give ourselves a good hug. One of the things that closes off the heart is when we often have our throat center is here, which we'll come to soon. This is where our critic is. And so we judge ourselves and then close up our heart to ourselves. So, but just by hugging ourselves and having compassion and just like holding yourself and maybe making some little like just soft little sounds or some tender little sound. Just like soothing little sounds to yourself. And hugging yourself and just like letting yourself move from side to side. And then you can maybe just very gently seeing where can you lift your elbows. That's easy, sort of like I can make a little scoop, like coming down, I'm making a little scoop over to one side. It could be like a wee and a little scoop to the other side. And a little scoop to this side. And then just very gently release your arms and just sense what's happening in your chest. Maybe I feel like my shoulders have let down a little bit. And do you notice anything? You can put it in the chat if you do. And another wonderful way of helping open the chest is by when we are like this, our shoulder blades are all stuck. The ribs, we've got ribs under here which are like going like this, and then we've got the shoulder blades that are supposed to be free to move over those ribs, but they get stuck there. And when that happens, there's not much space in there, and so we can't resonate from the sound from our heart. So a lovely little movement to just free up this hold, our arms and our backs. In Feldenkrais, we talk a lot about moving in a spiral pattern. That's our natural design. And when we have this spiral pattern in our body is connected better and we have more power in the way we move. So if you just take your left hand by your side and just brush it up over your body and bring it up and turn your fingers around, point it up towards your chest and bring it up just to your chin, keeping your elbow in fairly close to your body and then bringing it back down. And bringing the hand up again, bringing it up to your mouth. And then I'm going to sit down so you can see me better. Bringing the hand up so that the elbow comes in front of you and your hand is, your forearms parallel, like vertical, like this. When you come to this point, if you keep lifting up your elbow, you'll feel how your hand will start to turn out as if you're going to reach out for something. And then bring your elbow back down, bring your hand back down, come down over your body, and down to your side again. Bringing your hand up again, brushing it up, and coming up here, taking a breath into your belly, and as you breathe, as you lift the hand up and out, reaching out, can you just let the breath out as if you're reaching for something and going, ah. Breathing in as you bring your hand back down again, down to the side. And then as you bring the hand, so that is like the feet, the knees bending as you're breathing out, pressing through your feet, lifting your hand up. Ah. And coming, bringing it back down, makes me yawn. So yawning is a great thing to do to free the body and the voice. So you're breathing in and breathing out, pressing through your feet, your hands coming up and you're reaching out. So you could reach up or to anywhere, and you could change the positions of where you're reaching. So you could reach up and you could reach out to the side. Ah. And then bring the hand back in and down again. And just standing, noticing how that arm and that shoulder feels on that side. It certainly affected me so one side. And noticing, does that, like I can see my shoulders, the other shoulder's just a bit different from the other one. Okay, now taking the other hand, brushing it up through your body, bring it up to your chin first and then just bring it down. This movement in itself is a lovely way to release any tension in your shoulders and neck just of itself. And so bring your hand up, bringing your elbow up, and then reaching up to the ceiling. And then bring it back down, down by your side again. So we're just going to play with these little movements of bringing your hand up and then reaching out. You could reach out forward if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be up, reaching forward and turning your hand around. So as you bring the hand back, you're looking at your palm of your hand and bringing it down, reaching up, looking at the palm going up and then reaching out. The palm goes away from you and then bring it back and reaching down. So the music of the heart is a waltz. So I'm just going to make some little sounds. We're just going to play with these little movements. La, 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 la. La 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 ta-dum-dum. And just standing once again. And just even maybe you could do a ta-ta now. So you take a step forward, bend your knees, push through your feet, ta-ta, and open up and come back again. Breathing in again, push it, taking a step forward with your foot, ta-ta. That's here I am, I'm shining, I'm expressing myself, I'm opening my heart, connecting with my heart. Okay, so just sensing how you're standing now, feeling where the weight is in your feet, and just making that neutral sound that you made in the first place. Listening to the sound now, and if you want to put in the chat if you feel anything that you experience with that, or maybe that you'd like to ask me a question, that's all fine too. So okay, so we've looked now at the red color of the voice, which is the grounding, the orange color, which is your power and your passion, and the yellow color, which is your personal power, your abilities to stand up for yourself and say yes, to say no, to set your boundaries. And then the green color, which is how do we open our heart, how to connect with our heart. And if we just do one more thing for the heart, if you place your hands on your chest here on your heart, and if you bend your knees and maybe even take one step forward a little bit, thanks Penny, press through your feet and feel that you could just have a little bit of pressure against your chest here and kind of you're letting the chest come out. And Dallas says it's open more throughout her body now, particularly the heart. That's wonderful. So you're bending your knees and pressing through, and you feel how the chest expands, and this then allows that opening of the heart. And then if you can make a sound with that, so you're pressing your hand there, ah, and then breathing in, again bending your knees, and then ah, and letting your heart just open. So I wrote one of the songs that I wrote, and that I'll actually can send you a little link to. It's called Connecting with My Heart. I wrote this song once after it was a Feldenkrais workshop on the voice, and we lay on the floor doing all these lovely little movements to free up the chest. And I'd had a whiplash injury years before, and suddenly something released in my chest and I burst into tears. And then I wrote down this song, which was, connecting with my heart, now I know where to start. Let your feelings flow, discover all you know. Let your eyes just breathe the light, so you don't have to fight. It's time to lose control, to climb out of this hole. Let your spirit fly. Don't let life pass you by. Listen with your ears. Let go of all your fears. You can find a way through all the pain. Let your tears just flow like falling rain. Listen to the music in your heart. It will show you how to make a start. Connecting with my heart, now I know where to start. Let your feelings flow, discover all you know. Let your eyes just breathe the light, so you don't have to fight. It's time to lose control, to climb out of this hole. Okay. So let's now come up to the throat center where the actual voice box is. So in here we have a larynx, and the larynx actually has vocal folds where the sound, the air comes through and the folds move, and the folds work like this. If you put your hands like this, like I just bring your little fingers together and you move your hands like this. This is how the vocal folds work. And, you know, as the sound goes through, they go very, very fast. But that's kind of the feeling that happens that's what happens with them. They're moving like this. And the sound, if the sound's even through the body, the sound's coming from the whole body and the power's coming through, they're happily dancing along. Now, what can happen to these vocal folds? We have what are called true folds, which do this, and we have false folds, which come over the top of these true folds. And when these, and so that these, you could imagine if I've got these false folds here, and I've got these true folds, and those false folds start to press down, then it's going to stop this movement happening. And these false folds are designed for a very particular reason. They protect us. They're designed to stop food going down our throat, choking us. They come across when we sleep, to stop flies getting in our mouth or something. And another thing that they do, they'll come across when we get stressed. We get anxious about something. I can remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old at school, having to speak in front of the whole school, and the teachers got me to rehearse this thing off by heart. And I was terrified, and I couldn't open my mouth. I went like that, nothing came out, and I ran off the stage ashamed, vowing never to get up in front of anybody again. But, so this is what happened. I didn't understand then that these false folds came across. And so the good news is that we can learn how to release these false folds. And a very simple way to do that is just as a smile, but not a smile, a cheesy smile in the front of your mouth, but a smile that comes it's almost like you're smiling in the back of your neck. The smile comes like that, and like it's like a surprise, like that sort of sound. And what that does, you can feel these muscles engage here. It opens up the space inside for the larynx. These false folds retract back, and the space is there for these true folds to come. Sometimes when you have a cold, you might feel that croakiness. When you get that croakiness in your voice, your false vocal folds have come across. And they may not be totally across, but they're partly there. When we wake up in the morning and you talk to somebody on the phone and you say, hello, they say, have you got a cold? And you say, no, I've just woken up, kind of like, because they're not retracted. So just as when you exercise, if you want to run a sprint or something or a race, you need to do some exercise first. So the voice sometimes needs that. We go to sing or speak, we think, oh my God, my voice sounds really croaky. And it's just that we need to do a few little things, free our body and free our voice, so the voice can come out and the body can be open to let the voice out. So this is a really, really simple thing to do. It's just, and when I first learned this, I would notice how often I would stop myself saying something and I would go like that in my throat, as if I was going to cough. And you may even feel that if you just go and you try and speak, nothing comes out, or a cough might come. So coughing is another thing that we do, to stop the mucus going down through our windpipe, and just sort of so that, and that feeling of the coughing is what it feels like to constrict the throat. So if you just do that and just feel what that's like, and then if you try and say when you've got those folds across, the sound doesn't come out. So and if you then release that, like the smile in the back of your throat, and feel how that opening happens and how you can then say, the sound can come out. And one of the things that I've noticed in myself and in other people, when we start to criticize ourselves, the throat is the demon, the demon of the throat center is our critic. So what happens if we've had trauma in our body, or even any of us with little traumas of the things that happen in our lives, we develop a critic to protect us. And the critic says, be careful, you can't do that, you should do this. And if you feel that energy of the critic, it's stopping things, it's stopping you expressing, it's stopping you saying anything. Danger, danger, go back. So we go and constrict in the throat and hold that in. And then often we hold our breath as well. So nothing's happening. And the way out of that is just to take that breath, doing what we've done so far, breathing into your belly, breathing down, and letting your knees bend, letting the space open up, like a smile in the back of your throat, almost like a yawn. And then, And when that smile comes in the throat, you can see my nostrils start to flare as well. It's almost like I'm smelling a rose or something. That opening happens through there. And there's a nose is a great resonator for the voice. If you ever notice when you've got a cold, your nose is blocked, you can't speak, or you definitely can't sing because that area is blocked. So so that's one thing. There are a whole lot of exercises that I could show you. There's lovely Feldenkrais movements to free the jaw and free the voice. And I think if I've offered as a free gift on my website an ebook of this book, Sovereign Woman. And in the book, you'll see each chapter is about the different colors of the voice. The beginning is a couple of little story about my journey with myself or my clients with that color of the voice. Then there are a lot of Feldenkrais lessons about how to, and a lot of what I've done with you is in there about how to open up that center of the voice. And then there's a little song. So you've got all that. If you just go and download the book, you'll have that. Okay. So there's all these. I haven't got time now to go over these, but that's just that one thing makes a difference. So then the voice, this can open up, and the voice comes out like, did you ever watch in the Olympics, the divers they jump down on the board and then they come up and over. And our voice is kind of like that. We bend our knees and we go down, and then we press through, and the sound comes up and out, like that. So if you just stand there and just feeling how to take the breath in, your hands are going down, and then you're pressing through your feet, just letting the voice come out. It's almost like you're throwing out the voice. So one thing that we can do with our voice is we're nervous about expressing ourselves and saying what we're really feeling. So the voice sort of plops out, and then it's not heard. Have you ever, I thought, what can't people hear what I'm saying? I'm saying something and nobody seems to be hearing me. And it's because the sound was going here. It wasn't going over to them over there. So just that sense of like, the kind of like, even like you could, as we did these little movements before, you could actually take the sound out and push it away. Okay, so coming back again, standing, sensing how you're standing, feeling the weight in your feet, and feeling, and let's thinking of what we've done so far. So we go down to the earth like the diver, breathe into the belly, create that space in the bellies, light up the hara inside. That's our intention to say this sound. So we've got an intention, and then we feel that we can harness and activate these muscles here. Let our heart open, and then we can smile, because you see lots of singers smiling, because that's why, because they're just opening this space. And then we can throw the sound down, like we're throwing a ball. Okay, coming back again, and just feeling, just making that sound now, just feeling where the weight is in your feet, and just making that neutral sound you made in the first place. Ready, 1, 2, 3. And just feel where the sound is now, and hear, listen to the sound. And so this time we're letting our, like this opening here. The sound might have a different quality as it comes. We'll just notice, does it have a different quality compared to if you really frown and then make a sound. It just closes everything down. Let's let that opening happen. So if you'd like to let me know how you're going, whether that made any difference, just doing the smiling as well. And okay, so let's come now. One other thing I wanted to show you. This is connected to the throat and also to the next center, which is the with our eyes, but it's an important thing with our voice. And I remember teaching this. It's a Feldenkrais lesson that Moshe, Dade and I remember teaching my class, and they were all hysterical lying on the floor doing these movements, but we're just going to do it for a few minutes in standing. It's great to do if your nose is blocked, but it's also great to do to get that resonance in these nasal cavities. And it's just simply holding one side of your nose, and just notice what the sound is like when you hold one nostril. And then hold the other nostril and notice what the sound is like. Is it different from one nostril to the other? And let's come back to, it doesn't matter which nostril you have, just one nostril. And sort of what we're going to do is make the lowest sound that you can, like a foghorn, and you're kind of blowing it out through your nose, like a You might feel a tingling. I can feel like a tingling going on in there. And if you've got a bit of a cold or anything, you might need a tissue to just blow your nose, because what that'll do will release all the stuff that's going on inside your nose there. Then do the other one. So sometimes if I feel I've got a cold coming on, often my left nostril will block, and I just do those little movements, and it just starts to free up, and the cold never eventuates into anything. So it's just a really nice little thing to do. And then notice if we you can do this for much longer than that. I just wanted to just give you a little idea of that. but it just starts to, you may even notice you can breathe a bit better. The air can come in, and that breathing in through your nose, kind of just notice what it's like now down into your belly, when your nostrils can be free, and then make that ah sound. So we've got a lovely comment here. Everything feels free. I feel very joyful, and the sound is resonating through the entire torso, face, and arms. How wonderful. That's exactly what we're wanting to happen. Thank you, Dallas. Okay. So we've gone now, we've looked at switching on the red lights, the orange, the yellow, the green, the blue, and now let's come up to the eyes. So the eyes themselves are, like the eyes sit in, they're round and they sit in a little cavern, like back into your skull. And the more the spine supports you, the freer the eyes the freer the eyes can just be sitting quietly in their little sockets there. But what happens is when we get anxious, especially I think at the moment with everything, you know, looking at the news, what's happening in the media and everything, we're looking, our eyes are staring and we don't want to see it. And so our poor eyes are getting very stressed, and our eyes are directly connected to our breath. So whenever the muscles around the eyes are called sphincter muscles, they're round muscles, so that they do this, the opening and closing, just like our diaphragm does, and just like our pelvic floor does. So this breathing, when we breathe in, it's like the muscles around the eyes also relax, and when we breathe out, the muscles close. So let's just see, this is much more subtle and you may not notice too much happening here, but it's, and like when we go to perform, if you have to, like when I sing, for instance, I used to stand there closing my eyes and sing like this because I didn't want to watch anybody. I didn't want them watching me. And I had to, well, I learned, and that inhibited my voice in some ways, and I needed to learn how to open my eyes and take in what was going on around me and receive it, as like open to see, but also to receive it and let it come in. And I was very nervous and didn't want to take in anything. So this little movement is a little Feldenkrais movement that's great for just letting our eyes be soft. So the eyes, when we see and we look at something, it moves in little shutter speeds, like it's like a camera. It takes a little slide and moves along like this. And so when we're stressed and when we're looking at the computer all day, our eyes get fixated and can't move. And we get an image of ourselves, oh my God, I can't sing, or I can't speak, I can't do this. So just doing this little movement, it's really a lovely way of seeing another point of view, of releasing that tunnel vision that we get with our eyes. So, and it's just simply just closing your eyes and just moving your eyes, just letting your head and eyes look left and right. And can you feel that sense of those little balls in the bones in your eyes, underneath your eyes and above it, like a little cavern, the eyeballs are just sitting in that cavern. And then coming back to the middle. And now can you look straight ahead, keeping your eyes closed, and turn your head side to side. Your eyes are facing the front and your head's turning. Oh, and I feel I want to take a deeper breath. Maybe what a yawn. And then coming back to the middle again. And then slowly taking your head one way and your eyes the other way. So at the same speed, they both come back to the center together, and we go to the side. They both come back to the center and to the side. And then coming back to the middle. Notice your breath, opening your eyes. And can you imagine that these soft eyes, as you're breathing, you're actually breathing into those eyes, so that muscles around the eyes are just opening, and the eyes are expanding into that space. And as you're breathing out, the muscles are closing. It's just opening and closing. And bringing that, coming back to your body, feeling how as you bend your knees, the opening happens, the breathing in and breathing out, that as you're pressing through your feet, you're supporting through your eyes, and the eyes can just be held. You're breathing in, your eyes can open and take in the light. And as you're breathing out, you're giving it out, letting it go. Just like your voice, there's eyes in your voice that you're breathing in, letting the light come in through your eyes, and you're breathing out, and the light's going out through your eyes. Breathing in and breathing out. And now with soft eyes, looking with soft eyes, so you've got this feeling of loving yourself, the compassion in your heart, the critics not front of stage, just being gentle with yourself, saying, yeah, I'm okay, just as I am. Your eyes can be soft, look around you, take in the light, just like you're out somewhere in nature where you love being, and letting the light, colours, the sounds all come into your eyes. And then, letting them out, letting the sound out. The sound's coming out through your eyes. Okay. So we're running out of time here, but I'll just do quickly this last center. So the last center is our connection with the divine, the purple center. And this is where we open up to receive from the universe. And this is kind of like when we let go our ego, which is all in our fears, and say, okay, I choose love, I choose to open up, I choose to let in that energy, so that and this is kind of like this light is coming in like this, and then as we take the breath in, everything opens up, and as we breathe out, we connect through. And so this time, instead of an sound with that, there are beautiful mantras which help open up this center, and we could just have the om sound, which is aum. So we're breathing in, aum. Breathing in again, aum. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is darkness, let me bring you light. So whenever I go and sing on stage, I'm still very nervous. So I say, make me a channel of your peace. Let me open up to just express the love and peace. That helps me a lot so that gets my ego out of the way, saying I'm not good enough, or I'm singing that note wrong, or not saying the right thing or something. Okay. So let's just one more time just come back to that initial sound that you made. You're taking a breath in. And breathing in. Okay. So if anyone would like to make some comment on the chat box, or we can sit and have a little talk about it, I'll turn this recording off. So, but I'll just wait in case you want to put something in the chat box first, and turn the recording off, so that we can now, it won't be